Hey there, welcome to the Schwowin's Nest. My name is Sandra, and I'm so glad you're here. In the fall, I grabbed a couple of these Dollar Tree signs with the little pumpkin cutout. They're really cute the way they are, but I'm not going to be using the pumpkin today, so I'm just going to use my utility knife and cut that portion away. Next, I'm going to measure how far down I want my angles to be. I'm going to create a picket fence stake out of this. Once I have the angle where I want it to be, again, I'll just use my utility knife and cut it down. Using a sanding block, I'm going to round out these edges. I want the corners to be a little bit more distressed looking and not so perfect. And then I'll just give it a little bit of sanding all the way around. I'm going to use two of these little Dollar Tree crates and I'm going to glue them together. So I'm just going to add some hot glue to the one top here and then I'll just put the other one on top and glue them together really well. I'm not putting any glue at the front because I don't want it to seep out. I'm just going to hold them together until the glue sets and then get rid of any excess glue. I'm just going to use hot glue to glue the crates to the bottom of the sign. I'm going to paint everything white, and I'm just using my DIY chalk paint, which is some latex paint and talc. If you're looking for that recipe, I've got it down in my description box, along with a link to Amazon for some talc. While I waited for the paint to dry, I went over to my Cricut Joy and I cut out a stencil just using some cardstock of a windmill. Now, this is something that you could definitely do without a Cricut, and I will have the free printable available on my website. I've decided for 2022 to embrace some different colors. I've always been using white and black and grays, and I thought I would just try changing it up a little bit. I'm still using the white as my backdrop, but I decided to use this clay color from Martha Stewart Vintage Chalk Paints, and it kind of looks like mud. But I really like the color, so I thought I would just use my makeup sponge and just dab it on. I'm not giving it full coverage. I want it to be kind of variegated in the amount of color that's on there and have some lighter spots and some darker spots. For the legs of the windmill, I just cut out a strip of paper from the cardstock about 1/4 of an inch wide. And again, I'm just using my makeup sponge and I'm just going to have them on an angle. I'll do 3 kind of pointing in towards the windmill and then 1 down the center. To add more dimension and character to the windmill, I'm going to use this silver permanent marker and just draw a line on one side of the blade all the way around. I'll also do this for the legs down at the bottom. Everything's completely dry now, so I'm going to do some distressing. I'm using a little chip brush that I got at a dollar store and the same clay color, and I'm just coming in from each of the corners and giving it a little bit of distressing. You can see how it just kind of feathers in from the edge. Then I'm going to just go across each of the slats and add a little bit more distressing there as well. I'm also going to do both sides of the crate the exact same way. Then I'm going to move on to the top part of the sign. Using the same technique, I've just got some paint on my brush and I'm pulling it in from the back of the sign. And that's just going to give me a little bit more distressing around the edge and kind of frame out the sign, give it a little bit more dimension. I'm going to do that for this side and then I'm going to turn it around and do it on the other side as well. Now I'm going to very lightly go across the sign. I do want some distressing, but I don't want it to be very heavy. When you're distressing, sometimes less is more, and it's always better to start off with a light touch. You can always add some more paint and go over it a second and third time until you achieve the look you want. Lastly, I took a little bit of white on the brush and I'm just going over the same side as I did the silver. I just want to add a little bit more dimension and shadowing to the windmill blades just to help them look more three-dimensional. The legs of the windmill looked a little bit well, off. So I decided just to take the other end of the makeup sponge, dunk it into some of the paint, and then dab some of it off. And I'm just going on an angle. It's really hard to see how I'm doing it, but you can see the effect of it here. Sorry, my hand keeps getting in the way. I'm going to add some florals to the crate, and I'm just going to use 2 pieces of styrofoam. I am not gluing them in because then if I ever want to change this out, it'll be really easy just to pull out that styrofoam or pull out the florals themselves and do something completely different. I am using lavender. I am so happy that Christmas is over. I loved sharing all of the Christmas ideas, but I love my lavender, and I'm so excited to be using more of my farmhouse style again. I'm just trimming off some of these branches, and then I'm going to be adding a little bit of Spanish moss, which is also from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to put that down onto the bottom of the styrofoam first, just using a little bit of hot glue to hold it in place. I'm just going to start placing the lavender in straight up and down. I'm going to do a row at the back. I think I put 4 in at the back and then a few more in the front, kind of staggering them, staggering some of the heights as well to make it look as natural as possible. The last thing I'm going to do to this crate design is to add a little bit of this ticking stripe ribbon. It has sort of the same stripe color as the clay, and I thought it would be a really nice match. I'm going to glue it starting on the side here, along the front, and then down the other side. I made a really cute 2-fingered bow. I've got some tails that I dovetailed, and I'm going to glue that right into the center. If you have been following me on my channel, you know that I am not a bow fan. I am also not a good bow maker, but I found this tutorial online to make a 2-fingered bow, and look at how cute it is. This is the only way I'm going to be making my bows from this point forward. If you're interested in learning how to make one of these bows, I'm going to be posting a video probably in the next day or two, so make sure your notification bell is on so you don't miss out on that tutorial. If you are new to my channel, I would love it if you could hit that red subscribe button, especially if you like what you see. This next project is using an 8x10 Dollar Tree canvas frame. I'm going to use my screwdriver and my needle nose pliers to pull out all of the staples and remove the canvas. These canvases are pretty rough, so I'm just going to take some fine grit sandpaper and just sand down all of the little rough edges, especially around the corners. I don't want to get any splinters from this. Some of the frames have staples in them, but I noticed on this one it didn't. It just had 2 sort of finger jointed corners. And so what I did is just push them together and added a little bit of hot glue inside the holes on the inside of the frame to hold them in place and make sure that they didn't wiggle and fall apart. I'm measuring how long I'm going to need these 1/2 inch square wooden dowels that I have. I'm going to need to cut them down just a little bit, and then I'm going to put the long one right in the center of the frame and make a window out of it. I'm going to then take a second one, measure that one, cut it down to size, and then do the 2 pieces in the center. Once I have the pieces wedged in, I'm just going to take a regular size popsicle stick, cut it down to size, and use some hot glue to just make sure that it doesn't pop out. So the popsicle stick will just go over the frame on the outside, the inside dowel, and then the little piece in the center. Now that I've got it all assembled, it's time to paint. And I'm using my signature white, of course. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and give this 2 really good coats. I'm also going to paint the back just with 1 coat. I've got a 3-inch little grapevine wreath here. I did make it out of some vine, so that's why there's a little bit of twine on there. I had to use something to hold it together, but you won't even notice the twine when it's complete. This is a piece of boxwood. This is a branch that I got from Amazon, and I do have that listed down in my description box. It's my favorite boxwood to use. It's a little on the shiny side, but I love the dark green down at the bottom and the lighter green up top. I'm going to be pulling off all of the little stems because I'm going to need to trim them down a little bit to make sure that they fit this little wreath. If you've seen me make wreaths before, you'll know that I like going all in one direction. So I'm going to start at the bottom and hot glue the first branch on, and then I'm just going to continue my way all the way around until I get back to the beginning. I'm going to take the next set of branches and cut them in half so I have 3 on each stem. I'll use these pieces to start filling in the gaps. And I always like to start with the larger leaves first and then use the smaller ones to fill in at the end. I made another 2-finger bow using some 2.5-inch buffalo check ribbon. I folded it in half and it is wired. Now I'm going to take a chenille stem and push it through the loop at the back. So that gives me the ability to twist it onto the wreath. I'm going to wrap the chenille stem around the wreath and then twist it really well in the back and then just fold the ends over. To distress this window, I am going back to my black because I just really love that look. I'm going to use a little piece of paper to dab off my paint. Again, just using a little chip brush, dunking it in the paint, getting rid of some of the excess, and then just brushing it along my window just the same way that I did for my first windmill sign. To hang this little window, you could use whatever you wanted. You could put a sawtooth hanger on the back. I decided just to take some more of my buffalo check ribbon. I folded it in half this time, and I'm just going to hot glue it onto the back of the frame, making sure that my loop isn't too long and making sure that it folds over nicely when I glue it onto the other side. I'm going to use another chenille stem to hang the wreath on the window. I'm just going to feed it through a couple of the little branches as you see me doing here. I'm going to twist it once and then I'm going to change the direction so I can easily put it onto the window frame. The next project I have is using these corks. I'm also going to be using some tumbling tower blocks, which are the medium-sized ones, not the small ones that you can get at the Dollar Tree. I'm going to make somewhat of a crate slash log cabin slash box. I don't know. You'll have to tell me what you think it is at the end. But anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and glue some of the corks together to make a base. And then the next layer will be tumbling tower blocks. I'm putting the hot glue on the side of the tumbling tower blocks so they stand up a little taller and then they end up being about the same height as the corks. I'm going to start with another row of corks, then one more row of the blocks, and then I'm going to finish it off with another row of corks. I'm also using my miter shears to cut the corks. This is like butter. It's so easy to cut little pieces of cork to make sure that all of your pieces fit together well. So if you're interested in those miter shears, I have a link down in my description box. I decided to use this Varathane gel stain in the color Dark Walnut. It's my absolute favorite. And I love gel stain because it's really nice and thick and you can control it. So my idea was to create a watered down gel stain. I added water into this jar, but this is an oil-based stain. And I don't know what I was thinking when I was doing this, but if you're any type of a cook, you know that oil and water do not mix. So I was stirring it, and nothing happened. I finally had to put the lid on it and shake the bejeebies out of it. It did kind of blend together, but I really didn't get what I was looking for. It did dilute the stain a little bit, but not the way it should have been. So, lesson learned. I have to remember that I need oil and water with water. I decided to apply it with a paintbrush. I did have to shake the bottle a couple of times throughout the use, but I really love how the stain turned out. You can still see the lettering through the corks. You can see a little bit of the wood grain on the wood blocks, and I think it was a really good choice to stain it instead of paint it. I've got it sitting on a piece of cardboard, and I'm just going to trace out the interior shape because I'm going to make up my own custom little cardboard box. I want to be able to leave the bottom open, so if I want to put this on top of a different plant down the road, I can do that. I wanted it to be fairly versatile. So what I'm doing now is just cutting out the square, and I'm not going all the way through even though I am using my craft knife. I just kind of want to score it so I can bend it easier to hot glue it. Then I'll be cutting out the corners, and that will make a really simple box. I'm just going to glue it together with some hot glue. I am totally in love with these Sola wood flowers. I'm going to take a bamboo skewer and I'm going to give each of them a stem. It's really easy just to poke that skewer down into the center of the flower and you've got a perfect stem for it. You can also then cut the bamboo skewer down to whatever size you need. I'm going to be using just an assortment of different florals, and I'm going to just make myself a small little arrangement. Okay, so I've created my box and now I need to add some floral foam to it, and check out this cool little cutter that I have. You got it. It's the straight edge from the Dollar Tree. It is a perfect floral foam cutting tool. It doesn't make a mess and it cuts through everything really, really nicely. I've pushed my box through and now I'm just taking my fingers underneath it and giving it a little bit more of a push to elevate it a little bit more. I don't want to have to do so much filler, so being able to just push that box up and down the way I want it is perfect. I'm going to start arranging my Sola wood flowers. I'll start with the two largest flowers. I'm also going to make them the tallest. Then I'm just going to start grouping the flowers a little bit farther down each time, working my way around and creating a nice mound of flowers. I've also got some of these greenery picks from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to cut off those little fern-like branches and add them into the arrangement. I've got one of the little green spiky ones way up at the top, and then I'm just going to keep adding them in until I like the look of it. I don't want too much green, but I just love this soft green color. It works so well with the wood flowers. I just love how this project turned out. The combination of the delicate Sola wood flowers with the rustic cork and wood bottom just looks absolutely gorgeous. I hope you love it as much as I do. My last project is going to be pretty simple. I'm going to be gluing together these oversized blocks. These came from a tumbling game, but it's a little different than the tumbling tower or Jenga. I'm going to glue 5 of them together side by side to make a base. Next, I'm going to take 2 of the medium blocks and glue them end to end and stand them right on top of the base, 2 on one side and 2 on the other side. Using the Dollar Tree wood bead garland that I cut apart, I'm going to use hot glue and glue a row of beads all the way across both of these tower blocks. Once I'm done with the beads, I'm going to add one more row of the tower blocks, and I'm going to glue them the same way I did the original ones, making sure that they're nice and secure on top of the beads. Once I'm done gluing, I'm going to take this outside, give it a couple of coats of flat white paint, and that's it. I've got a sweet little farmhouse napkin holder for my table. Thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. I hope you enjoyed these wood decor ideas and got inspired to create a little wood decor for your own home. If you enjoyed this video, here's a couple more that might interest you. Bye for now.